call the meeting to order. Its agenda, date, time, and location were properly announced. Thank you all for coming and finding your way here. We will start off with the approval of the minutes. Just on our absences, Brian did let us know last month that he would be traveling since we switched weeks. And then we had two last minute personal things that came up, so. We're here and we have enough to have a meeting, so we're gonna go ahead. So we have approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 20th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve? Chris, is there a second?
Second.
Chuck, any corrections?
I just didn't see the names of all the teachers that were there. Is that something that's typically included when you write down who's present, or is that not part of the minutes? Oh, okay.
They're usually under the, like,
If we were going to list it, it would be
agenda item.
item, but it wasn't really an item
Good. Any other comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have donations. Any,
No, we didn't have any donations.
okay. And then we have payment of bills. Is there a motion to approve for the month of May the amount of $1,035,213.39?
So moved.
Chuck, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Rini, are there any questions?
I didn't receive any questions.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the cash summary,
As you can see, Patty's been getting all the end of the year reimbursements and all that other good stuff done. That's the end for ESSER 3 then, right? We're done with ESSER. So it means we'll have to do one more federal audit, right, this next year, but then we will be done. And I think we've done a really, really nice job of not hitting that financial cliff that a lot were worried about with how we use our ESSER funds. So looking forward, everything is looking good. Budget looks fine, and just moving forward, getting ready for July 1st, and our new fiscal budget starts here in a week.
any questions? All right, next we have comments from the public, and I do have Howard Mitchell from the town of Sherman regarding ATV and, is that UTV or ATU usage, okay?
So, I'm here, I'm Howie Mitchell, Supervisor, Town of Sherman. I'm just here to, relay concerns we've had, with the yearly end thing. We don't want to see anything happen, but we're kids bringing ATVs to school. And we have routes and everything that are, posted, and the previous, resource officer was a really good contact for that. Making sure kids follow that, but now, we were just wondering, we don't wanna see your tradition end or have issues with it, but we like it if there could be an announcement or something before this. Hey, kids, you're gonna bring your UTVs, ATVs, please follow the road routes, because, I'm the head of the UTV, ATV committee, and I get phone calls from people that they're running all over that day. And, we tell them, call the DNR, if that's what we're gonna have to do. We don't wanna see that, but if you just remind them to please follow the routes that are there. They were created for everyone to follow.
Do you have maps? I'm sure you do have maps, trail maps, something like that we could get out to the kids beforehand.
Yes, actually, I gave a photo to the previous resource officer and handed them out. They are online. If you want me to drop them off, I can. They were created by the Lakeshore UTV ATV Club. So, but if you'd like to, I can get paper copies, but otherwise there is a website for the kids. So we just just don't wanna see a tradition happen, what it's called safety.
Yep. Yep.
And a lot of roads they're not on is because of safety. So we don't wanna see accidents or anything.
Is there access to the school? Is there always, for most students, is there an access route? They can
Yes,
probably
the
get
town
here,
road
follow
basically
in the,
the simplest thing. Town for going, it doesn't have anything open yet. So kids coming from that way, they are illegally coming here. Town of Sherman is open, but to get there is basically you go out Allen Road to Abbott Road. And Abbott Road, you can get all the way to Beechwood, everywhere. It's all there. That's like the main one to get into town. And everything,
most getting
Silver
town roads.
Creek, Batavia, yeah. Access all of it. Does it take longer? Yes, it's faster to go down 144. So, but we're just concerned about safety. That's that I'm here for as a town supervisor. We don't want to see something happen. So you can just make an announcement prior to remind the kids. That's all I'm asking.
Susan, I know, like, we do a lot of stuff with our, parking lot, and we have people out there to make sure, because we don't have supervision out there, especially the ATVs are the best. Can't screw around with the tractor, right,
This is the track.
this is tractor day, but,
It's typically just a tractor day. This was really the first year that it became more ATV. And if the kids were driving them to school on more than just that. The last week of school, kids were bringing in their ATVs. I know, Officer Cobb did have conversations with several of the kids when we got reports that they weren't on the appropriate, designated. And so those kids that he at least knew weren't, he did have conversations with, but in the end, the kids were, with their permission, driving those to school outside of that time. So, absolutely, prior to Tractor Day, we will remind kids, but I also saw that it was referring beyond, Tractor Day. And this year was more of an ATV day than it was a Tractor Day. So I don't know if that's gonna be a new trend or not, but certainly, with the trails reminding students to go on the proper roads, but also wear the proper gear. We were reminding them you need to have the proper headgear on, especially in the certain ones. Yeah, so it's always good.
It's about safety.
and as we approach, if there's a place where we can have a sheriff out here, because we don't have as much jurisdiction once we get outside of the school. But if we need to work with local sheriffs or somebody to make sure that we send a
And
message.
we did on one of the days,
Yeah, yeah,
and a couple of the kids knew that they were coming, so they left prior to.
yeah.
Oh,
But, and if it's more, we just wanted to
Presence.
educate.
Yep.
Wanted to educate them.
And thank you for your work on the trails and everything else. I'm sure our kids appreciate having that access. All these UTVs are probably a sign of the success of the stuff you guys are doing, right? It's, you did,
No,
what's that?
UTV club that did that.
Oh,
They're the
okay.
ones who got the routes.
Hmm.
They took care of it all. They came to town of Sherman for the town road approval. So they did all the work.
Nice.
We just, helped them with certain things, but the club is the one that did all the work. Can't take credit from them. They do all the work. We just, work with them and, keep things moving forward for people to enjoy the sports.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the referendum discussion.
Every month we have our update here. You don't have to look at the pictures, just walk through. Anyone afterwards, if they'd like to just do a quick little jaunt around the high school to see what it looks like, more than happy to take people through. But everything, this isn't great, right? But everything to the south is even more, so it's exciting. It's, when you look through the dust and you look through all this and you know how this is gonna look, it's fantastic, but, embrace the suck. I'm getting some people, are getting sick of that, but, we're getting it through. I did also want to add, as an update. Rini, myself, and Patty, along with Nate, met and looked at the budget. I will say our budget, looks, at the process we are right now, it's where it should be. Would be a good way to say that. And, there's a couple extra projects that we've added that I think are good around plumbing and some others. But we're right on track on where we should be the best way to kind of give you the budget update. So nothing that's scary. We're putting, the resources where we need to in places that we budgeted for things that we didn't know are coming to kind of fruition like we thought they would. So yeah, overall, very dusty, messy, loud, but exciting.
Building reports.
Completion to the school year. Oh, thank you, Mr. Ritson. Successful completion to the school year. The kids had a lot of different variety of activities and then wrapping up with final exams and different things there. So all in all, I would say it was a really positive and positive end to the school year. Summer curriculum work has begun. So this summer, due to we're having 2 pre-service days and we normally have 4, so those other 2 days, staff are going to be working throughout the summer as departments, really digging into their standards and their assessments and creating rubrics. And we've had all of the departments meet so far at least once in the public library. So shout out to the public library. They've been wonderful to work with. And so far, just really the staff has been really positive and a lot of great work that's already begun. So kudos to the staff, some great work.
And we've also been able to use the art collective too. So sometimes both of our staffs are meeting at the same time. So they've been very generous to let us be there as well. It's really helpful. Summer school is in session right now. We're in first session. We have 249 students attending. And even with all of the construction, it's going great. Lots of smiles. Actually had one little girl say to me last week, she's like, Mrs. Charbonneau, I don't know how to tell you this, but I really like summer school better than school. And I said, I totally get it. I get it. Like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, you know. Yeah. So it's been really good. Lots of cool offerings and new things. We tried a system with the help of Kim. We got everything online. So they registered through Infinite Campus, which is our learning, management system, I would say. So they really got to have the classes that they really were interested in. So that's been really positive, and I'm thankful that Kim was willing to go on that endeavor with me. So it's been really cool. So along with summer school, part of Act 20 is that we need to have a reading intervention time for students that are below the 25th percentile. So I worked with Jamie, and we have students coming to summer school, and then they're having those blocks of time where they can work with Jamie as well. It wasn't required this year for Act 20, but we thought let's try it and see what that might look like for families. So it's been really positive, and the kids are getting that extra boost in their literacy, which is, it's going to be great for everyone in the fall. We had some beautiful staff recognition on the final day, and just really celebrating lots of years of service to the district. And it was really fun for me to see, because not all school districts do that anymore. And so to see how much you honor staff that has been here for so long, it was really special. And I was thankful to be part of that, because it was neat to see. We had compassion resilience sessions offered. I want to say they started in April, right? And so 4 sessions, and staff could attend. And then for those staff that attended all 4, they got a 90-minute prep, and we would sub for them. Or so we had some staff that attended all 4, and then we also had some staff that might pop in for 1 or 2, just again helping to build our compassion resilience. And some tough times at times as we head into, the end of the school year, and lots of stuff happening, so it was good. We wanted to Oh, thank you, yep. As far as the universal PBIS, again, we're trying to really support that first tier in the classroom. So we're talking about like, when we come back, I've been working with, Sarah and Tracy, guidance and psychologists and, special ed, and how can we support our kids in that classroom? Like, what does it look like when you get on and off the bus? What are our rules? So that's been really positive too, and setting up a calendar for that throughout the year. There we go.
All right. Community connections, just wanted to give a shout out to the village of Random Lake, and the Random Lake EMTs for coordinating with us for our annual triathlon. It was really a great success. It was a little bit of a colder day, but nothing like last school year where I think it was super cold. And they just did a wonderful job. They're always great to partner with. And it was Austin Krause and Jen Tross's first time doing this themselves without the leadership of Brian or Ann, who had started this many, many years ago. So I thought Austin and Jen, for them being solo with it, really did a great job. Got a couple points of feedback from some community members, which is great. That's only going to help us really do better next year. So thank you to Random Lake for that.
And our final note is that we brought the library and we collaborated with them, on solar, they had solar binoculars, a solar telescope. So it was really cool. Like Susan said earlier, we're so thankful. Cameron is just a delight to work with, and they're coming back for our next summer school session as well. Along with that, I forgot to put that in, we got a grant to, have books that support the learning from the library. So next, actually this Thursday, when they head out, all of the students that were involved in summer school will get a book that has to do with energy and science for our solar area. So it's been really cool.
All right, some student acknowledgements. I had the honor to attend the Wisconsin FFA convention last week, and that's held at the Alliant Energy Center. And it was really neat to be a part of that. And we had one of our graduating seniors who was there. She was there doing her leadership performance. And so it was great to support Haley as she was there finishing that piece. And then also Amy Gentges, who is one of the FFA, state FFA, what is she? Is she the treasurer, I think? And so it was great to be there to support her as well. But hats off to Whitney Radke and the entire FFA team. They're great to work with. Softball, all conference. So they did a great job. Some shout outs to Jayla, who is first team all conference. Trista, first team all conference. Madeline, first team all conference, as well as Olivia. And then Layla was second team all conference, and Danica and Lily were second team all conference. So well done to the ladies with their softball season. And baseball, so our all conference shout outs there. We had Jaden as well as Chase, Griffin, and Reed were all conference, and then Logan and Decker both first team all conference. So well done to the guys on finishing the season strong. And then a shout out to our track team. It was our 4x100 boys relay that made it to state, as well as Reed, who also made it to state with the long jump. I'm trying to remember. But high jump, thank you. I'm like, it was one of the jumps. Remembering a month ago, what was that? But they did a great job with their performance at state.
All right, community recreation report.
Perfect. I did invite Eric to one of these meetings he's gonna come to, but he and I had lunch today, so talked a little bit about all the things that we've done. It's one of the things that one of Eric's big initial pieces was, one, trying to find a streamlined way to communicate and have a presence on our website that has all the different activities, community activities out there. So now we have a link that's shared between us and the village, that has all the highlights of all of the youth sports in our community. So you go to one place, you can find it. And that's a big piece that we can have to help share all these different activities that are going on in our community. The other piece that we've been trying to do is, we know that youth sports are getting more and more expensive, right? There was, there's a couple activities that it's becoming, almost cost prohibitive for some of our families. So we went to all of our local communities that have our kids, said, are there things the district can help with that would be still district owned, but you could use to help defray some of the cost of the things that you're doing? So Eric has gone through and found, and it's a little different for each one of the activities. But in my meeting today, in one of the points of celebration, the basketball club said, you know what, thank you so much. For them, we have jerseys that now they can use. And because we bought jerseys that will last for how many years, they're going to reduce their cost for participation by $75 per student. So those are those little things that we can do to help them, help us, right? Because the more students that are playing in these activities, doing these sports, are going to be more that are more successful. And we're going to have, I mean, look at how many first teams, all conferences, second team students we have. We need to make sure our students younger and younger see these activities. And it's getting expensive, refs and all these other things, all the equipment. If we can find a way to hook up our high school teams with our youth teams, those are the things that we're working on. And I would say for our first 4 or 5 months, I think Eric's been on the job, doing all the things that we asked for. So if you hear anything in the community, I'd love to hear if there's been any feedback. But right now, we and he are engaged with every one of our schools. So it's fantastic. And I think he's like, hopefully he's not taking too many days off of the to-do list at home, but he's been
He
doing a
likes this.
fantastic
He
job.
really enjoys meeting with the different clubs.
Yeah.
He said it doesn't feel like work.
He's out there socializing.
Yeah.
That's him, yeah.
Mhm.
That would be work for me.
Yeah.
not for him.
Okay, great. Board committee reports. Administration and support staff met, and we'll have a later agenda item, and budget committee met. And Chuck, we have recommendations later on insurance, right?
Correct.
Okay. End of the year AGR.
So that's just an enclosure in there. It's something we have to do per DPI. It's a lot of words. It's a lot of things here. So we have it on. Feel free to peruse. Our students are growing. Every year we kind of show the growth of our students using ExactPath. We will have a different assessment K3 next year because of Act 20. There's really, really good work around standards and assessment. And this is just all of the nuts and bolts that DPI makes us have to do.
Okay.
I just have one question about it. So is it our goal, especially in the younger grades, to have the smaller classroom size? And how hard is that with, it kind of fluctuates in the size of each grade to
Yes.
keep that?
So AGR, it started off as SAGE. When I was an elementary principal, it was called SAGE, and it moved to AGR. And it was resources from the state to help schools keep that smaller class size. The class size they want to keep is between 18 and 22. There's different interventions because we don't have as much flexibility because we either have 2 sections or we have 3 sections, and sometimes 3 can bring it down to 12, but 2 sections keep it at 22. So this report shows that if we're not putting it into staffing to keep the class size low, we're putting it into staffing to coach the teachers, to find ways to group them differently. This is a funding source. How much do we get from AGR a year? Is it $100,000? 134. I'm not. There's very little research. Like this is 20 years old. This has been around for almost that long. There's very little research that actually correlates smaller class sizes to higher learning. It's more about the instructional practices, the assessment practices, what we're doing in the classrooms. But this is a nice way because having smaller class sizes means teachers can give more attention and some results. So we want to keep sensible class sizes at all times, but it's tough here Because sometimes when you get a number, let's say like 48 students, right? If you get 48 students in a class, well, you're looking at either classes of 24 or 3 classes of 16, right? You know, so it's tough. I think Becky, if you want to talk, because AGR is just for kindergarten, first, second, and third. It's just those areas. Anything from your first year with AGR that you kind of noticed with class sizes?
I completely agree with you that it has a lot to do with instructional practice. And I think one of the ways that we are helping to support that is in those core areas like literacy and math. We're having people push in, like maybe Tech has a reading specialist to get those smaller groups, even though like sometimes you might have a class of 22, then we can kind of separate them even more. And I think you're going to see that coming forward a lot more as we are talking about Act 20 and instructional practices. How can we get those small groups with that intentional learning of their skills? That's the most big for so. And I agree with you. It's really focusing on getting those small groups and literacy and doing our best to support our staff. And then the assessments that are tied to this, are those assessments specific to this, or is it another assessment tool that we're using already that we plug into this report?
I believe this is the,
Okay, so not that we have to do something special just for this. Okay, that's good.
And we've been doing it about 4 or 5 years now, ExactPath. It's important to have a universal screener that every student is assessed. We do it K through 8 or even pre-K. Is it K or where do we start exactly?
Yep, pre-K, they have a separate, in my IDs, but like Mike was saying before, that's all gonna change in July.
So every student gets tested 3 times a year. They get tested in fall, winter, and spring. That's how we check for how's things going in the classroom. That's the report I show you at the board retreat. Like, here's where students started, here's where we ended, here's how math looks, here's how reading is. So we use that data, and that data helps us a lot in the supervision and the instructional practices, but then also helps us with this. So, but we're in a flux now because ExactPath will be sunsetting. The state gave us information on Friday that they have a new improved assessment that we have to use for the first time next Christmas because they won't be ready by fall. So again, legislators telling us what to do. We have assessment that works, but now we have to use this one. So it's conversations. This report will look a little different. So stay tuned. It's the job we're in. Embrace the suck, right? Even when it comes to assessment practices.
Hard to compare the
Yeah. And we need to test kids in fall. Where are you in fall? That's how you start planning. You're like, oh, this is important, but it won't be important until Christmas. So, yeah, it is. We just keep rolling with it. It's part of our job. We know how the hoops are. We signed up for it, and we'll keep rolling with it.
anything else on the AGR? Anyone? All right, Title IX policy that's required.
Talking about legislatures and politics. Wow, what a great transition. It's good thinking on that, how we put those two. So this is just a warning for the board. The Biden administration has fast-tracked new Title IX requirements that expands the definitions on equity, gender, and have required districts to acknowledge and have policies in place by August 1st. So this expanded definition on a lot of these things are their role of helping protect these protected classes. And it's a more descriptive process of when something happens, how do we investigate them, how do we do that? I'll be honest with you, we spent a little over an hour today with our policy Sherpa, and it's going to be an interesting navigation of this. So we are going to have something for you to view next month. Because we have to have something in place by August first, we are going to do an emergency approval, have the policy committee look at it, give us suggestions. We will bring it back again in August with the changes. But with how this is, every district has to have it in place by.
So at the July meeting, we have to vote on, we have to accept whatever it is,
Yes,
and
so,
then we can tweak it as we go. If we need.
so what we'll do is we'll have a committee meeting in July, and we'll talk about the tweaks they'd like to see on what we're approving as the emergency policy. And then we will take that back to Richard. Richard will say, what are the things that the Supreme Court says we can do, we can't do? And then we will approve it again in August, but that will cover our tookuses for that August first deadline. So, yeah, the thing that I'm most worried about is not just the expansion of the definitions of the protected classes, but now, and we were talking about at our ad meeting today, they've expanded what it means for school. So, we've had a couple situations that happened in our community around social media and things like that. That is now covered under Title IX, and it's the school's responsibility to investigate. So in a time where we've never had more pressures and more things happening, they're asking the schools to take on a bigger chunk of this Title IX stuff. So on the flip side, up until this, in my 8 years, Susan and I have had one Title IX complaint that's never even got past the second step, because we went through it, we investigated, they decided not to go through with it. So there's a lot of time being placed into things that don't happen a lot. When it does, it makes it up here. And my 2 cents as we look at this, for us is we do minimal that we have to do that's required by law. We keep our head down, just keep moving forward. This isn't as big of a deal as people. But we can talk about it.
Will it be a really lengthy policy?
And the fun piece is, we're gonna have 2 Title IX policies, because they're gonna have the rules that were in place until July 31st. So anything that happened from July 31st, July 31st, 2024, backwards, that policy is gonna stay the same, but now we're gonna start a new one for August 1st, so we will have 2 policies, because that's how they want to roll this out.
Grandfathers.
Yeah. So we are going to, we worked with Richard today, Kim's working on cleaning this up, we're gonna get this out to the policy committee already next week, so we can start chewing on it, start looking at it. We'll put a whole hour on for the policy committee, next month when we meet, if we think we need it, and then we'll make sure that we have enough time to chew on it up. Okay. Go ahead, Chuck, what do you wanna say?
I have to say it, is, I know we've discussed it before, and I know these are pretty much just being shoved down our throat, because if we don't adapt these, what are we subject to? Just for people to understand in the community, if we don't accept what they're shoving down our throat, because I think a lot of this stuff is not what our social norms in this community are about. They're way beyond what we believe are right in this community, but yet the federal government throws us at us, and then we have to accept it. What happens if we don't accept it? I know we've discussed it, but I just want to bring it out
We asked
again.
Richard that, because we know this isn't, there's some things that will be points of pain for our community and their ideologies, right? You know, and, you know, the thing that Richard said is, he actually, worked in a district that went down that road like 10 years before he got. And what happens is, that district was made an example. And from that example, what did he say? A permanent injunction against the district because of that decision. And really is a red mark on that district forever, as a way to put a scarlet letter on a district for not doing it.
That affected their funding, or what did that actually do to them?
We didn't get into the funding on what it looks like, but it wasn't, you know, it was something like, I guess I would put it more like a scarlet letter. is kind of what it is, so.
Is it more that they're putting policy in place if issues come up, or we have to allow things to be taught in classroom that we don't agree with?
This isn't about anything, this is about complaints about how people are treated, right?
Okay.
So,
So it's
That's
not
right.
like we have to.
No.
Like harassment.
Yeah.
Or what?
It's how we respond to situations, but what they're telling us, what we're gonna see, they're gonna tell us we have to do is probably not the way a lot of us in the community would think it should be handled. Respecting that we wanna appreciate everyone's rights. We're not trying to say we're violating those rights, but they take norms a little too far, at least in some people's opinions.
Yep.
And it feels like we have no autonomy as a school board, as a district, to have control over what we think our community should be.
I
And
will
that's what
say,
troubles me.
this coming through makes us look even a little bit more proactive on how we establish bathrooms in the high school, right? You know, because the way we establish locker rooms, we've done some things to help us in some of these situations that may arise, that will give us some more flexibility that we wouldn't have had if we didn't make some of those changes. So, yeah, it's kind of came out of nowhere. This was just something that it's, you know, they did say that this is something that usually takes 3 to 4 years. Depending on what administration gets in this next election cycle, it'll take 3 or 4 years, and then they will redo this again. And I know there's a lot of people that are like licking their chops and saying, "Oh, this is the most important thing." And we had the same thing, was that 4 years ago, right? We were told we had to do this and get all this training and all this other stuff. And it's just, we're in the middle of that political ping pong ball back and forth. I think the best thing you can do with all this is build really strong relationships with families, with students. And you can take care of 99.9% of this by having good conversations, good relationships, and just treating people to go. And it's too bad we have to go through all these hoops to do it. But that's why we've only had one partial in 8 years.
Which is a testament to the quality of the administration and the quality of teachers. It's nonetheless frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. Amen. So this is just to get your lips wet on it, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't throw it in front of you the first time when we have to do an
Frustration.
emergency. Yes. So if there's a side conversation anywhere, or we need to do an extra policy meeting, let us know.
Okay, more fun on that next month. Next we have, Lisa's, library media plan that she's been working on for several months for us. Do we need to go through it, or are we good to go ahead and move on with it?
You know what, Lisa took all of the comments from our last meeting, made the adjustments in here, I looked over them, I thought we covered everything that you guys had some thoughts on and had some concerns, and when we switched this to this because of my travel, she said she couldn't be here, I'm like, I feel like we've hit everything that you guys were concerned about, and I thought we were good. So I would suggest we approve it and move on unless somebody sees something we missed.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Chuck, is there a second?
Second.
Chris? Reenie's making faces, so
I
we'll wait for some discussion.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was a file, I wasn't able to review, or I don't know if it was I missed this one, I don't know what to do, I didn't, read it.
Here.
Can I look at it,
Yeah.
please? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
As I recall, there were a couple issues we had concerns with that
Right.
were addressed
Right.
as far as how the appellate process goes.
Yeah,
Okay.
for
Right,
any
that
kind
was
of
the one
appeal,
area.
yes, yep.
So that would be the only area that changed.
Okay. I guess I just want to make sure I read over that one piece that I know we discussed. I'm really sorry.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
know what page that's on? It's if something is,
Look at
someone's
that.
expressed concern and we're reviewing it.
It's the procedure for reconsideration of
fifth page?
library slash curriculum materials.
And that policy is already approved
Yeah.
with all the updated things
With the
that we
ways that
wanted.
we had talked about already, so.
Oh,
Yeah, so so you're good.
Yeah.
This is just,
But
this
we're all
was-
for
That's what she, yeah, so now, we did the policy, we got that corrected, and then she turns us into the state, and we're all compliant again.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Any other questions or discussion?
who was the motion? Who was the second?
Chuck and Chris?
Okay. Should've known.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Right.
It was not you, so it was a,
Motion carries. All right, we have our 660301 virtual charter school agreement with Keel. Is there a motion to continue that agreement? Chris, is there a second?
I'll second.
Rini, any questions or discussion?
Just a reminder, this is a nice thing to have in case, I think we had one student that was in it for a few weeks. We don't have anybody currently enrolled. It doesn't cost us anything, but if we have a student that needs it, having this is just a really nice way to be able to move something quickly. Medical issues, things like that. They would still our students. Keel does all the education. We pay them to do it. It's a really, it's a win-win situation. And we're just fortunate to not have to use it, but it is nice to have.
do we pay if we don't use it?
I don't think there's any charge.
As you,
They get it, they will charge us what percentage of the FTE that would be. So, you know, we get, is it $12,000 a kid? If we would have a student in there the entire year, they would charge us what our FTE is.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Cell phone.
Okay, so at our board retreat, you asked that administration create a survey and get it out to our parents and see where our parents stand around the cell phones. It's been a little crazy on how much publicity cell phones and social media have gotten since our conversation. Because what was that, early May when we had our board retreat, or end of April? When did we do that? I think it was May. Now there's multiple states suing, different social media sites. The Surgeon General has now want to put a warning out on social media for kids. This is starting to become a groundswell of, we're starting to see there are some impacts on adolescent lives, right? So, did everybody get a chance to look at these? Do you want to take a little bit of time to go through this?
I looked, but I didn't get as much time as I wanted.
Okay.
We just kind of,
So kind of a breakdown, where the students are, right? So we can see, 39% have kids in multiple, grades. 29 are high school. Middle school is 13%, elementary was 17% of the people taking the survey. Thank you, my old eyes. So that's just who took the survey. If you go down, have you noticed changes in your child's behavior? 62 or 60% said yes because of cell phones. 25 no, 14% didn't know either way. Instances where cell phones have disrupt your child's school activities. Yeah, 41% yes. And I think that this was the most telling for me. So 5 was, so 1 was strongly disagree with the statement, 2 was disagree with the statement, 3 is neutral, 4 is agree with the statement, and 5 is strongly agree with the statement. Cell phones during school hours have a negative impact on your child's academic performance. Let's see how that. Cell phone use during hours has a negative impact on your child's safety or privacy. Cell phones in school have a negative impact on your students' overall learning. Limiting, restricting cell phone access in schools will encourage more face-to-face interaction and socialization among students.
So we should have done this a long time ago, is that what this is?
Yeah, like, holy cow, I thought we get some people that, but, yeah, the fives have been, are pretty strong here. So this is, then we started asking our parents, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to limit, to prohibit, do you ban, so we started going around these questions. Prohibiting/banning cell phones in classroom improves your child's focus and concentration during class. Implementing a no cell phone policy in schools could mitigate issues like cyberbullying and inappropriate content sharing. And then this is for you guys. The school board should enact a school policy that restricts or prohibits ban/cell phones use during school hours to promote better academic engagement. And we asked them, what would you prefer? You want us some policy to remain the same? School board to adopt a cell phone policy that would limit, or do you want the school board to adopt a cell phone policy that would prohibit/ban cell phones?
Unclear, it looks like.
And then we did have all the personal, I think there's good comments in there if you want to take some time to do that. So, the cadence of this was do a survey, look at it with you, give recommendations for us to create a policy, look at that policy in July for the first reading, and then adopt that in August for the second reading. So, as we look at this,
To create the policy, I think we may have discussed this. Are we gonna look at surrounding or other districts that have done that? Are we gonna create it completely on our own, or go to Neola? Where are we gonna get the policy from?
so Neola, the way they kind of work is, here is a cell phone policy, how strict do you want to get in this policy? So it's kind of like a cafeteria, like you want to do this, you want to do this, you want to do this, you want to do that. So once we know the direction that you want us to go, we will work with Richard. We'll craft it that it makes sense for elementary, middle, and high school, because the policy has to go through there. And then the policy will be more vague, right? Because the guidelines will talk a little bit more on our handbooks. We'll have to do a little bit of work with that. Once we have it set in the policy, all the other stuff will be from what that policy states. That makes sense. Kim, that makes sense?
Well, I think it's important to note, this isn't just Random Lake School District. We have neighboring school districts that are doing the same thing we're doing. They're trying to figure out what their policy will be for the fall, because they want something in place. And reading the comments from some parents, I think there's questions over what preempted this, why are we doing this? And then the other concern of, if we had an emergency situation, they want a phone in their student's hand. But the reality is, what we were told is, in an emergency situation, the phone's not gonna work. And I think if parents know that, they might embrace a policy even more.
Yeah, our active threat drill is when it gets to the point that something dangerous is happening, we take phones away, so it doesn't tie up the internet service, right? That's part of the practice. As far as things that happen day to day, our students are around adults. We have calls in the office that have been going on, since the phones have been around. So yeah, and that's, what do we do about my kid and not being able to get in touch? Call the office.
But I mean, also, like, it was in our school board magazine that school boards should be doing this, and what you just said, and the fact that other districts are doing it, I think because we had some issues at the end of the school year, people might think if this is all 100% in response to that, and it's not, it's something that hopefully all school districts are looking at, because we know it's important for our students and how it affects their learning.
Lee, you have something to say?
Yeah, I get an email probably at least once a week about another set of schools banning cell phones. And I've had that probably for like a year and a half. And to answer some of the concerns that parents have, the kids in middle school, their phones aren't, in this area, the phones aren't gonna work anyway. It doesn't matter because they don't get signal down inside the building. So, and you're right, if they're gonna be the networks are gonna be over flooded, so unless the kid's got a wireless priority card, which they won't, they're not gonna get their phone call. So, yeah, I mean, this is something that's been going along, the school district's been talking about this for about 2 years. Getting email from arguing about it, this school's turning it off. I know there's a lot in California that don't have them. They've stopped allowing them. There's whole states that have banned it, so.
Our neighbor Indiana.
Yeah.
There's states that are going all the way to the state level.
Yeah.
Requiring boards to come up with their policy and how they're.
And they're typically a complete ban during the whole, or is it a variation on how much they're banned? Or is it what's the trend? Is it a complete ban throughout the school day?
I think that's the trend right now being talked about because we've had schools that have not banned during the day, or limit during the day, and now they've just found it still.
Violated.
increasingly problematic.
Yeah.
Sure, that'd be helpful.
That would be
Sure.
great.
Thank you. All right, so more on that next month.
So are we comfortable with going down the ban route, after looking at the survey data that the policy that we'll do for the first reading? We'll talk about, I think we'll have to do two things. We would write the first reading around banning cell phones, have us chew on it, and then also talk a little bit about what does that look like? Because a policy is just a policy. We can talk a little bit about how that policy is going to look day to day in school, so we can start having conversations about what we think that could. Because shortly following the policy being adopted, it's going to be, as schools, we have to now enact that policy. So we'll start talking about that. I've seen some really good examples with Faraday bags and phones with kids. It's gonna cost a little bit. I don't know if you know what a Faraday bag is. It's a bag that doesn't allow signals in. And we haven't talked about it. It would have cost. So they have it on them, but they can't open it, and it has a special magnet that when they walk out, they can hit it down the hallway, pull their phone out and throw their bag in. So they can have their phone when they walk in, put it in the bag, it gets locked until they.
Howie, you have something to say?
Just got a question for you guys, this is regards to cell phones, internet, everything like that. I'm seeing a lot of it where people are afraid to speak their social minds to you on the internet, like email, whatever, but they don't have the social ability to say and talk to you face to face, easy behind a phone or computer versus coming and talking and resolving things. It's a big trend and it's getting worse and worse. I'm seeing it in my profession. You talk to them face to face, and they don't know what to say because they don't have a computer to talk behind. They're becoming socially inept. So if you eliminate something, they're required to become social with other kids and stuff. So I'm just giving you something I see on a daily basis, and it's getting worse and worse as the younger generations are coming into the workforce.
We refer to it as keyboard warriors, right? You know, people that will just go for the dagger and type in really mean stuff when you talk to them.
So we're seeing it on applications for jobs, everything. They cannot do face-to-face things. So just to let you know what I see.
Thank you.
So we will go down the route, and along with Title IX, we will be talking about this policy. Yeah?
Who's on that committee? I got it right
Okay,
Okay, next we have, administrative contracts, we've been talking about for the last month or so. And the administrative committee has a recommendation there. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Chuck, is there a second?
I'll second.
Chris? Questions or discussion?
My comment is you get what you pay for, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
And I think we've had lots of really good discussions.
We have.
So this has been very thoughtful and discussed a lot, so.
Yeah, since May,
Mm-hmm.
early.
we have a damn good team, so.
And Milwaukee's a mess and showing us what we could be. So,
So I think it's well, this percentage is well earned.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Insurance changes, another topic we've, discussed. I don't know, was that budget? Is this the one that was
Yeah,
on
budget,
budget
yeah.
or admin? Okay, budget is, putting this motion forward to, try a new, kind of insurance,
It's
Level
self-funding, level funded, self-funded, insurance, yeah.
is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Chuck, is there a second? Chris? This is, something that, the teachers had input on, and this is the one that they chose as far as, you gave them like 3 options.
Yeah.
And, this is the one that they chose.
And this is really exciting. This is the first time I've been able to be part of an organization that has actually been able to reduce, our deductible. So currently a family deductible, we do an HRA and I won't, but for a family, in all essence, it was a $4,000. Was this last year, our experience was so that we had some options to try a different way of going through insurance. And with this, we shared 3 different alternatives with our staff. We let everybody have input. This is the one they chose. And it makes sense because our deductible for a family is going from $4,000 down to $2,000. And we're also reducing their premium by 5%. So there's not many times in the history of where insurance has been that we've been able to do this. I think we have different staff, we have healthier staff, our experience is showing it. And now we're, instead of, the biggest difference is last year we paid $1.4 million to an insurance company. And they paid less than $700,000 for us to go to the doctor and do our things. They keep. This is now working with a different type of insurance where this intermediary helps us save money. And then when they help us save money, they also make more money. So we're doing more of a partnership around our insurance instead of just paying a big conglomerate to insurance. And with all kinds of stopgaps and things in there that we will pay, what we pay right now will be what our cost is for this year. And just like any other insurance policy, if we have a good year, it'll stay similar. If we have a bad year, it's gonna go up. But it's really no different, but it's taking out a lot of the, I think it's taking out a lot of the fat that insurance companies put in. And, we'll see what's, but I think our staff is, the survey came back pretty resounding that this is the way we.
When you say a bad year, what do you mean a bad year? Lost claim?
So 5 years ago, we paid in $1 million. The insurance company paid out 200, we paid in 1 million, they paid out 2.4. So that was a experience is what percentage of your premium did they have to pay? We had a 240% experience, which means they had to put 2.4 times more than what we paid. This last year, we were at about 50 to 60. I didn't see the final numbers because it goes to them, but they're going to be right around a 50, 60% experience where we paid in now, we're up to like 1.4 and they paid right around 700,000.
we could potentially be saving the district money doing this, but we also risk that if we have a bad year, it could cost us more.
It won't cost this year is this year. It costs us to renew next year, but if we have a bad year with United Health, it's gonna cost us more next year anyways. What we've signed a contract for is gonna cost us this for the 24-25 school year. And if we have another year like we did this year, we could earn up to $200,000 back. Yeah, so any money we would save in this would still go to our employees and then banked for those years, because you're gonna have bad years, right? We're a small group. There's things that happen, you know, and when that happens, it'd be nice to have a banked amount that we can kind of defer some of those big shifts in our premiums. So I think we all feel pretty good about being able to be in this situation. It's the first time I feel like we actually have some say in what's happening instead of just being there like, who's gonna insure us and how much you're gonna charge us. So. Did the work that's down, not go down as well.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. General and food service fees. Is there a motion to approve? Rainey, is there a second?
I'll second.
Chuck? Any questions or discussion?
Just a little bit of a change that we're doing this last year, as classes were doing field trips. So we're doing more field trips than we ever have because of transportation, we have busing. But we have a lot of fees where parents are paying $5 this time or $2.50 this time and this. And it was becoming a logistical nightmare for Kim to collect all these fees in a time where we're trying to be as cashless as possible. So we're gonna get away from doing the nickel and diming. We're gonna ask parents, actually, it's a really nice collaboration. We're gonna ask parents for $25. PTO is matching another half of that, right? So it's like having $50 for every elementary student, $30 for every middle school student to do field trips, and now we're not gonna ask families to pay the $5, $2, $10 for field trips. So these are the classroom, this isn't like the big trips to Peru or things like that, but for those little ones that are going to the pumpkin farm. Yeah. Make sure I put that out there, just in case.
Okay,
We did track it this year, just to kind of figure out where
anything on food service? Everybody good? Yep. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The 24-25 WIAA membership renewal. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Chuck, is there a second?
I'll second.
Chris, any questions or discussion?
Is it same as past years?
Yeah.
Nothing's changed?
I know, anywhere, anything.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a number of professional staff resignations. If everybody's okay, we can take them in one. Is there a motion to approve these resignations? We have some with very significant years. With thanks, Josh Schwinn for 9 years, Sid Lucas for 8, Haley Vandenbush, our big winner here, 27 years, Heidi Schultz for 14, Anna, I don't know how to say that, Montezat, 5 years, and Paul Tim for 9 years. It's a lot of tenure there.
Yes, yes. We're seeing and this isn't a random lake, I think this is a thing we're seeing where all of these people are moving closer to home. They're taking the labor market as it is right now and finding ways to give themselves more time. Maybe, a couple of them are making more. It's, in return, we're also, as you look at the people we're hiring people that are closer to. We've been very beneficial with finding pretty, experienced staff from other surrounding districts that are moving closer to home. So it's kind of this migration of staff. You know, there's a handful of people up there that are saving almost an hour a day in travel. Because of this. So, we wish them all the best of luck on this. And, yeah, there's a lot of really good staff up there that we miss. We have a lot, we've been very fortunate over the last few years with all the PD and all the training that we're gonna have to catch up some of our new staff with. But, yeah, it's a trend we're seeing, and, it'll be interesting what the next few years are gonna look like, because we aren't, as staff are retiring, we don't have the young teachers to replace in the occupation as a whole in the state. We don't have the people in those spots. So we have a couple spots that are open yet. We're still only in June, but if we're meeting here at this time in July, we still have those open. We'll be a little bit more nervous. So.
Okay. Hopefully we'll have a list next month. Is there a motion, then to approve? Rainey, is there a second? Second. Chris, any other questions or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next we have approval of new staff, and as Mike was pointing out, some of them are moving back here or closer. Is there a motion to approve? Chris, is there a second?
Sure, second.
Chuck?
Oh, yes, we do have to make a adjustment. Daniel Kane, the last one, was offered a contract and then, must have accepted somewhere else. So we would do
no-
all of them except,
Oh, that's what you're saying.
yeah.
Okay. So with that correction, we still good with the motion? You guys are accepting of that?
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And, this is a notification of supporter salaried staff resignations. Suzanne Martin, food service for 7 years, and is it Diane?
Diane.
Diane? Beaver, bus driver for 4 years. All right. Thank them for their service.
So we've lost 2 bus drivers now?
So that'll be another area Rachel and I talk about as well. So,
You gonna get on there and drive?
I might be getting my CDL this summer. My blood pressure should be down enough I can actually go through it now, so let's see what.
And we have, no new support staff for item 22. And item 23, no new salaried staff. Okay, so that takes us to our informational items.
Perfect. Couple things. First of all, part of what we're doing with the field trip, we're trying more and more to be a cashless, environment. Our auditors are requiring us to become cashless. You're seeing more and more, you go to sporting events for high school, you have to use your phone. We're slowly migrating that way. We're taking our steps as we do that. There's gonna be some bumps and there's gonna be some people that aren't gonna like that. We're gonna still try to be customer service friendly, while also trying to be as cashless as possible. Right, Patty? So, it's something, Patty's asked us to continue to find ways to have less and less cash. Because anytime there's cash being exchanged, there's all kinds of opportunities for bad things to happen.
So you're talking about sporting events? And this starts when?
We're moving in that way, so yes, I mean, there'd be some that would love to start it this fall with 100% cashless. I'm not sure we can get there exactly yet.
Have we done anything? Have we done any events that? Oh, so is there like a middle, like we start with people learning how to?
That's kind of what I'm thinking, we're gonna have to take a step
Yeah.
and let people figure out how to use it, especially.
Which system are,
So, especially in the Big East.
which system are we looking at using?
Our Big East system, I don't know exactly what it's called, but it ties into the calendar program that we already have, which is fantastic. So we don't have
Language arts, so it's a really nice combination of social studies and language arts, where they can kind of get their professional sophomore year. You know, not every student's gonna want to do that, we have sports, we have all kinds of things in place, it's gonna happen, like, kind of the same time we did, early June, when we're done with school, and they're still in school, it'll be probably a 2-week kind of piece where we'll spend a week in schools, living with their host families, doing that kind of stuff, and then maybe a few days of checking other local places. There's just so much history.
And did you say that, did we have a maximum number that we could do? I have like 16.
Yeah, you know, it's tough. So we have 5 schools from the U.S. working with 5 schools over in Luxembourg. We all have our own partners. Some schools aren't going to send their kids next year. Some are waiting an extra year. We feel like we've been at a place that we could probably handle that. So, talking and looking at our junior class, we're happy with it. Before we'll see what's next. And then the last thing is something Chuck shared with me, and if you want to pull up that enclosure, Kim, you walk around and you see all the construction going here, and if you can look through the dust and all the just rubble and think about where we're going to be, it's really exciting when you take that vision and then pair it with some of the things that are happening in the community. So, Chuck, do you want to say a couple words about the meeting that you went to last week around the community planning?
Just briefly, I thought it was well done, and I think it's great that the village is going to hopefully adapt this plan. It provided an outlook for almost all major parts of the village, potential growth, and I think it's a great foundation to at least have a plan in place so that when we get development and investment in this community, we have a guide as to where and how we want to go. And I think that's something we've been in need of for many years. So I thought it was pretty encompassing and very informative. I think the feedback was overall pretty positive. But of course, like everything, there were certain parts that weren't maybe well received. But overall, I think the concept was very well received. I think they got some great ideas there. And again, in talking to one of the village board members, nothing is set in stone that it has to go like this, but at least it's a good guide for the future when the village can grow and expand.
So I just say with Chuck sharing this, I thought it'd be good for us to see just how we're kind of hearing what's happening in the community as we do this. This is important for our district, right? We know that by 2030, less than 20% of houses will have school-age children. That's just like nationwide statistic. So if we don't get more houses, we're going to have less students. So even every 10 houses we build, 2 of them will have school-age kids. And I really think there's some really cool things happening in the community. I know what the entertainment district is doing with the lake and bringing people in. There's just a lot of really good positive energy, and just keep working on it. It's a team effort, right? And we're just another positive issue.
I think it was good because it incorporated not only single family, but multi-family, more condos, and more larger complexes. So.
I have a question. So last year, at this meeting, we talked about the safe routes to schools, and it kind of fits with this topic.
Yeah.
Did we do that assessment?
It's still out there. The person that was putting this together, we haven't found a way to complement that grant with this yet. So we're still in conversation. It's such a small part of this. I'm still trying to find a way. I haven't actually, we've been granted the grant. I haven't signed it and returned it because we have a financial obligation. But I want to make sure this complements that. It shouldn't be done as a side or somewhere else. So
the grant is for the assessment, not for.
It's for the assessment and for a plan. So with all this going on, I reached out 3 times, like, hey, where are we doing this grant? Do we want to do this? We may turn down the grant because I wasn't aware of how extensive the village had done with this. So I'll have an update, make sure we can, I'll have an update on the safe routes to the school grants.
One of the things in here, there is a trail that kind of goes in a lot of the areas of the lake where we don't have access, but it's not a full loop. It stops on Stark Road. And so Stark Road to 144, Carroll, there's no route there.
Right.
So I don't know if that's something with the safe route to school, if there was a loop all the way around the whole lake, and students have a walking, I don't know, SUV or ATV trail that somehow it goes all the way around the lake and to school.
And those are some of the conversations that we're going to have, because it was my impression that once you have a plan from the safe routes to school, then you are actually eligible for any grants for putting those infrastructure pieces in. So, Brian is also getting married during this time and putting this together, so, I'll reach out.
Are there time constraints about when the grant's accepted to when it has to be?
We have till 2025 to do it, so we have some flexibility. We pushed out that it would be done before 2025. So we have another, but if we're not going to do it, then I'd rather just get it on this too. They have. So to be determined.
All right, any other questions? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Hopefully you can find your car.
We'll take, if anybody wants